I told you. I said be patient with us. Like, as soon as one of us or all of us get on the same page, the game's different in this clubhouse. The game's different at Petco Park and everywhere else we play. So just trusting us to be patient.
Kind of just another obstacle. I know it's a long process. It's not easy. And, now that it's in the owner's hands to accept it and, finally get them on board and, start this new ship. I think it's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV and the Section 1904 podcast. I am Marty Caswell. That is Darren Smith. We are brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Let me start by saying, D. Smith, I am so glad that you were not stuck somewhere on the 405 after, a thriller, SDFC beating LAFC. We will get there shortly, but it's good to see you on this Monday. A lot of things happening. Right?
A lot of things happening. I know. I thought very, very last minute here, I thought, I wonder if I could do something to my background to make it appear like I'm still in a vehicle so that I can give off the appearance for those that are watching on Marty Time TV on YouTube, where you should subscribe, by the way.
Yes. Thank you.
That I'm still stuck on the 405. I will tell you the ride up there was a total nightmare. The ride home was actually pleasant.
Shocking.
Now, maybe it's because of the result, but Marty, I made it from BMO Stadium, which is right next to the LA Memorial Coliseum.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a couple miles from downtown Los Angeles. I'm going to sound like one of those skits from Saturday Night Live, the Californians. Remember that when they used to say all the different freeway names that they would describe when they were driving? I made it home to Imperial Beach, by the way. Okay. Like as far south as you can get in San Diego County. I made it home in 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Exciting. Wow.
2 hours. Now, this is where I'll do the bit from Saturday Night Live. So I got on the 110. Then I took the 110 to the 405, 405 to the 73, 73 to the 5, 5 to the 805, 805 to the 15, back on the 5, off Coronado Avenue, mile and a half, boom, back in the house. Had a glass of wine before I went to bed.
Perfect.
What a Saturday night that was. But the ride up there was absolute shit. 405 was a nightmare. Thankfully, I had that fast pass or fast track or whatever that sticker is in my window. And I was like, I don't care how much this costs. You know the feeling like when you're trying to get somewhere and like I wasn't late, but I didn't want to feel rushed for a broadcast at 7:30. I wanted to be there, plenty of time, have a cup of coffee, see some people, do a little bit of gossiping. You know what that's all about. And so I just was like, I'm not taking any chances here. To hell with it. I had already sort of left my house in a little bit of a scramble. I forgot. All right, I'll tell you this real quick, and then we'll talk about the Padres.
Okay.
I was leaving my house, and I felt pretty good, but I wasn't going to put my clothes on. Like I was wearing a pair of shorts and like an undershirt, but I wasn't going to put pants on. I wasn't going to put on the collared shirt that I was going to wear for the broadcast, since we're doing this broadcast from Los Angeles.
Go to the John Miller wardrobe.
Yeah,
right, shower shoes.
But I had the clothes on like a hanger, so I was just going to sort of change at the parking lot like a prostitute. And I leave the house and I'm about a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles away from the 5. And I'm halfway there. I'm like, did I put deodorant on? I don't know if you've ever had one of these thoughts where you're like, I feel like, did I or didn't I? I'm not sure, but it's going to be hot in Los Angeles and I don't really want to stink. And so I pulled over. There's a gas station, a Circle K. And I went to and I bought a speed stick at the Circle K that who knows how long this has been sitting on the shelf. There was some sort of film on top, but I bought a speed stick at the Circle K and I just in case I had forgotten to put on my regular deodorant, I was putting on deodorant in the car on my way to Los Angeles.
Aaron, the
what
lesson
a great
is
broadcast. It was
good.
Phenomenal. So win of the year, I think. Some are saying, many are saying this might be the
Many
win
are
of the
saying-
year. Who knows?
many are
Many are saying
saying-
this might be the win of the year. And who knows? Maybe the start of Revenge Week with Portland midweek and then Colorado back at home. 3 teams, by the way, that got us in injury time. LA, Portland, and Colorado. So they're all lined up this week. Maybe it's a little bit of a revenge tour, but we can get to that later.
Okay. Speaking of, I would love to. They have a huge one coming with, a couple weeks. All right. Speaking of revenge tours, win of the week. Has this been the week of the season for the Padres, sweeping the best team in baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers, who, by the way, took a series from these Dodgers who are floundering. And by the way, those Dodgers are having ownership news of their own. We talk about, whoa. I mean, We had that clip from Manny Machado saying, dude, it's been a really, really weird year. And that was when things were going bad for the Padres and we didn't know the direction and we didn't know what's going to happen at the trade deadline. Could they sell? Blah, blah, blah. So much uncertainty. Just to think of what's happening right now with the Dodgers and think about where the Padres are. We know that the ownership group, Quanta Jones, Jose Feliciano, will be approved today. They've already been vetted by Major League Baseball. So this is just a strange formality. And I'm sure, Darren, as you know, this is going to be a unanimous vote. But back to the Padres. Has this been the week of the year? Brewers take a series from the Cleveland Guardians, and then you have the New York Mets, who are a franchise. I mean, you can spend money. You have to spend it on the right way, the right players. That's a franchise in absolute disarray right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the way it goes for the Mets.
And the Jets.
I would just say, I think that this is, not even a week, Marty. This is just like a really, really great stretch for the Padres overall. I counted it up this morning. I think it is, let's see, I wrote it down here. Since July 21st, 22nd, 23rd, when they were in Atlanta, they dropped 2 out of 3. They have won 6 series and they have tied one other one with the Arizona Diamondbacks, right? So they split 2-2 there. So that is 7 straight series where the Padres have won, including a 2-game series against the Colorado Rockies. That includes the first place Milwaukee Brewers, to your point. It was noteworthy to me, and I think a lot of other people, that they went up to Los Angeles and took 3 out of 4.
Yes.
And the Houston Astros, Cleveland Guardians, I guess, kind of still in the hunt. But the American League, we don't
trash.
need to
Complete trash.
Don't need to spend time on it. I mean, but it also shows you too, like how temperamental this is. Because let's say like Friday, right? When last you and I chatted on Friday, the Padres had the second wild card. And then they win Friday night, and then they lose on Saturday. And they were out. Like they were outside looking in.
They had 1 hit, right?
Yeah.
Jake Cronenworth? Okay.
That game was a weird
trash.
game. What were they doing? Why do they keep doing this to Randy Vasquez?
I
don't understand it. Like Randy had 2 really good starts, and then they're like, "Yeah, sorry, you're third behind Wandy Peralta."
I know.
Like,
Can we start?
Why would you do this to this guy again?
Can we stop the Wandy Peralta openers now? And by the way, maybe we'll get there shortly. I know.
Like other guys, I get it. I understand you do what you have to do to try to put Griffin Canning somewhere, but I feel like Randy is not that anyway. And then they were out. They were out Saturday night because Philadelphia had won and Arizona had won. And then there's a rain delay and Arizona loses and Philadelphia loses. And now the Padres are back in, but they're the third wild card. So, listen, it feels great. We're talking about how many series in a row the Padres have really played well since that Atlanta series back in Atlanta or back in July. But, it also shows you, how fragile this is too, right? You talk about having a good week. You're also one bad week. And, I don't think it's going to come against the Mets. This is such an interesting stretch, too, to your point, because the Padres, after playing the Brewers now, they get the Guardians, who are sub 500.
Yep.
Then they're going to get the Mets, who are 59 or 56 and what are they? 56 and 69. And then you're going to come home and you're going to get the Twins, who are under 500. You're going to get the Pirates, who are under 500. So, this stretch right now, if you, for people who were non-believers, I think people pointed out around the trade deadline, one of the reasons why they weren't sure that the Padres should invest in this team, why they shouldn't go out there and try to get Casey Mize or Robbie Ray or anybody else, why they maybe shouldn't be buyers, because, listen, all they can do is beat the bad teams. Let's see what they do against the good teams. Well, they beat a good team in Milwaukee, and I think that opened a lot of people's eyes. But also now they're on a stretch where they're going to get the Rays. They're going to get the Yankees. They're going to get the Dodgers. Who knows what that's going to look like at the end of the regular season? They're going to get the Diamondbacks. So, I think beating up on the bad teams now, even if you think that's all the Padres are really good at, all they do is beat up on bad teams. Good. Beat up on the bad teams today and at the end of the week. And then next week against the Pirates, beat up on all the bad teams, because I think you're going to be in a pretty good position if you keep doing that. And you sprinkle in some wins against some of the good teams as well. So, but it's very fragile, Marty. It's Bueller, it's Ray, it's King in Queens. And, that who knows what to expect there. I mean, the Mets and Andres Verde.
Oh,
Andy Green, the manager there, the interim manager of the Mets, whether he wants to be or not, this is what he's got. And, I keep beating up on the bad teams, and keep
Darren, is this
the
– oh, God, look at this photo. Is this the Andy Green? We talked about, what Craig Stammen said last week about
that AJ Caswell?
That is AJ Caswell. And that, I believe, is your friend Kevin AC. This is at this is Andy Green's first year. So I'm guessing this is when they had they have all the GMs and all the managers go out and speak. Yeah, that's the scrum. Look at Andres. Look at him right there.
Yeah, for those that are listening via the podcast here, it's a picture of AJ Preller and Andy Green sitting at a table. So this is spring training 2019.
Oh my
Every
God.
year in spring training, they have the general managers and the managers for the different clubs. They all go and they meet in one place and they do whatever they do behind the scenes. And then they come out and they talk to the media.
Yes.
So this is everybody out there talking to not just local media, but also national media. Is that Chris Rose on the left?
No.
Let's see. But
No.
AJ Caswell, look how young.
Dude, look at that. I know.
He's exactly the same.
I know, the same. I know. This is AJ Caswell. I'm going to have to go ahead and save this picture for when AJ joins us next if you want more. Okay. And this is interesting because this to me, like we're talking about eras, right? We're talking about the whole thing with, Kwanzaa Jones, Feliciano. That's going to start a whole new era. But this to me was the beginning of the era for the Padres, right? And you see this picture for those of you again and listening on the Section 1904 podcast. There is AJ Preller in the middle. There's his big Sonny. There's Manny Machado, the Blue Padres. There's Peter Side. There's a freshly shaven Eric Grupner. There's Ron Fowler, right? And there's Andy Green, a young Andy Green who was not hired, Darren, as you know, and as Andy knows, to help the Padres win. He was the bridge and the post. He was the whipping boy to get them to the next stage, the next era of winning. But yeah, kind of interesting that, they're going to face Andy Green, who's now the interim manager for the New York Mets, as the Padres get ready, we think, Darren, to start really a new era under the same GM, but a whole different ownership group.
Yeah. Andy Green is wearing an untucked, he's got that 90s Friends look going on there where he's wearing an untucked button-down shirt. Preller's doing the Preller thing, some khaki pants and a collared shirt under a sweater.
Yeah.
Grupner has yet to really hit his fashionista stage. So he's still sort of, trying to find his identity and see what it's all about. I don't think we've even, it makes me very, very nostalgic to see Peter Seidler there too.
Yeah.
And of course, these ugly ass Padre uniforms, which are so bland and just so forgettable. I'm glad we've forgotten about them. It's a shame that Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. had to start their Padre careers wearing these jerseys.
Well,
like it really is, because they look so much better today. I mean, they just look so much better today.
Oh, dude.
Now Marty, for some reason, is showing us a picture of James Shields.
Well, because because he's part of the era, and there's a 19-year-old Fernando Tatis Jr. Boy, just nostalgia.
Looks like a Targaryen.
Oh.
Right? He does. He's got like the bleached dread sort of look going there. He does.
Goodness.
He looks like Lord Corliss, like
I'm
his
gonna
illegitimate child.
All right, I'm gonna have to bring this picture and show it to Tatis and say, "Do you remember this? Do you remember
go
this
tell
kid?"
him he looks like Lord Corliss's illegitimate child and see what he says.
He'll have no
I don't
idea.
follow that show, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm a
By the
baseball
way,
player. Yeah.
Quick aside, I started watching because I'm craving Game of Thrones content. I started watching a Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Did you watch that?
I have not, but I've been told to.
Very good. Through 4 episodes, like very, very good.
Okay.
Very sad that we're burning through this series now so quickly too, because who knows what we're going to have to do next? Probably just our Game of Thrones. But anyhow, if anybody's wondering if that series is any good, I can, at least through 4 episodes, I can tell you I think it's really, really good. So just as a quick aside there, apropos of absolutely nothing except for my free time when I'm not watching sports.
Okay, so my whole, by the way, I just canceled my HBO subscription because we're done with House of the Dragon, but maybe
cancel your subscription.
I did.
Is that how you go about watching this stuff?
I had to this time because they're cracking down. All right, so where was I going with this? Oh, it was the whole Craig Stammen comment that last series about how when he votes home run against the Brewers, like we know what ex-Padres do. I've been on that part where I see they come in and do damage. It's good to see our guy do it to his former team. Here's Andy Green. I mean, I'm not, if you're it's the New York Mets. And again, you don't ever want to go ahead and look past a series like we thought the Brewers did when they were playing these little Padres before that Dodger series where they took 3 out of 4, but still can't let down. Bueller, Robbie Ray, Michael King.
I had Andy Green on when I was doing Section 1904 with Gennaro.
I remember.
And I had him on and I asked him because he was Craig Stammen's manager.
Yeah.
And I think most notably, people would say he was Craig Stammen's manager when Craig Stammen gave up 4 consecutive home runs.
Right.
And Andy Green joked about that. I mean, I've always said this. I like Andy Green. I've always liked Andy Green. I agree with what you said a little bit earlier. If I were if anybody ever said you should run our baseball team, which they never would, I would want Andy Green to be in my organization. I don't know if I'd want him to be my manager, but I would want him to be in my organization because I think he's a really smart guy. I think he's a lifer, just, eats, drinks, sleeps, breathes, all of it, His passion, Marty, drips from his lips.
Oh, that's the quote. That's the line right there. Love that.
I love when
Love
Jordan
it.
would just wear that clip out about who was that hitting coach that he brought in? That first hitting coach that first year?
Oh God.
That's who he was talking about. There's some big barrel-chested guys. Like,
No. I
passion
can see
trips
his name.
was
I can see his name. Alan Zinter, right?
Alan Zinter, yeah.
Oh,
Loves
wow.
baseballs. Passion trips from his lips.
So
Anyway, where was I going with this? I forgot.
I don't know.
but
You're gonna bring in
I
Andy.
don't know what he can do in this series. I really
Yeah.
don't.
Nothing. That
I
team's a
know.
disaster.
Him and Stammen. He said
Oh,
he told
okay.
a great story about Craig Stammen. He said when Andy got fired at the end of 2019, I guess. Was that right?
Sure.
Yeah, I guess it would have been at the end of 2019 because then you had the interim, and then 2020 was the beginning of Tingler.
Hey, Jace Tingler. Wow.
Yeah. So he
an
said
era.
when he got fired, Craig Stammen, a player, called him and said, "Listen, said not many players do this, but Craig Stammen called him and said, hey, I just want to thank you for everything.
Wow.
End of the regular season, before you pack up, before you leave, let me take you out to lunch or breakfast or dinner or whatever." Yeah.
Stammen did that?
Craig Stammen. Yep. And he told the story on the record, so it's not like I'm violating any trust here. And he said Stammen came, picked him up. They went out and, he just said, hey, thank you for everything. Like, we're aware of where we are as an organization. You know what I mean? Nobody, not everybody's going to go out of their way to, send you a thank you note.
Yeah.
That's just not the way players are.
Right.
But Craig Stammen did. He said Craig Stammen literally picked him up, drove him. They went out to some restaurant for breakfast or lunch or wherever they went. And, they had a very nice chat and they, left on really, really good terms. And there's a bunch of stories like this, by the way, about Craig Stammen, which speaks to him as the human being.
Right.
Not so much, the managers is a totally separate conversation. But I always appreciated that. And I think Andy always appreciated that. So there will be some mutual respect between these two. I'm sure when they exchange the lineup cards a little later on. And I think Andy was genuinely happy that Craig Stammen, he's like, hey, I know what it's like being the manager for this guy, for AJ Preller. But I think he was genuinely excited. Like always just thought he had a future in baseball, could call his own shot. And this is where he is now today.
Do you think anybody else from that team, from the 2019, from that team, the blue era, that era, called Andy Green afterwards and say, listen, sorry, bud. Sorry it didn't work out?
Probably not the guy that you're showing on the screen there. Probably not Eric Hosmer. Probably not this guy, Manny Machado. I don't know that though. I don't know that. And I don't want to paint these guys when I don't know. I mean, Andy's point was very specific. That's not amazing. Like he's the only one.
Right.
He just said, hey, I always appreciate what Craig Stammen did.
Wow.
As a player. Not everybody would. Some people be like, hey, sorry, Skip, whatever. Good luck to you, whatever. But it really left an impression on Andy, which I thought was a really, really nice story. It spoke well for both of them. I thought.
That's great. That's great. By the way, that's funny that you mentioned that you had a conversation with Andy Green on the Section 19-4 and the original Section 19-4 with Gennaro. You know who I texted or I spoke with? We spoke, or we didn't do a show though. Jace Tingler. I know. Also high on Craig Stammen. He's anyways.
Everybody likes Craig Stammen.
They do. Yeah. They do.
I mean, everybody, again, and we're talking the human.
Right.
The manager. And listen, and the manager is.
And the player.
The manager is 67 and 58 right now. Yeah. So if you listen to Friar Territory last week, you heard what Kyle Hart had to say about him. So, there's, again, you can say, well, Kyle Hart. But what matters is what is, Fernando and Manny. And okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fine. But, you're getting lots of people who consistently say the same thing because Craig Stammen is sort of a consistent guy. And, Marty, with 37 games to go, I think it's, I remember Craig Stammen a couple of weeks back. I think it was just a couple of weeks ago. He was asked, some question about Mason Miller or what have you. He's like, I can't manage all these games like it's game 7. You guys understand that, right? Now, with 37
and he got destroyed by that. Destroyed for that, right?
But he had a fair point. He did have a fair point. Like you as a manager have a responsibility to try to win each and every game, but you also have a responsibility to try to see this thing out over 162. But now we're getting to the point with 37 to go where Friday night, I don't mind telling you, where he's like, Morahone, after an off day, Morahone and Miller are not available. And good for Bradley Rodriguez.
Yep.
Maybe a future closer there. Everybody likes the stuff, but you are like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Like, is that, it worked out. So I guess all's well that ends well, but I
think it was the whole, how can,
no,
I know. I know you're saying like, how can you talk at that time? That was like, how can you talk sense of urgency and then say, I'm not managing every game And so one of the biggest faults you might have with Craig Stammen, other than apparently that he smiles, after losses and post games, is that he is positive. He's always positive.
I know. I mean, did you like that on Friday night?
No,
I
know.
I mean, even the broadcast seemed to be like, I don't know.
A little bit surprised.
I don't know what's going on here. But it wasn't something that was designed. It was something that was designed. It wasn't something that was announced. And he just felt like in a save situation. Let me see if I can get by with some of these other guys. And that's the thing I wonder about with Randy Vasquez. I don't think this is the time, because if Randy Vasquez is going to be part of this team, let's say in October, Marty, it's not going to be as a starter, right?
No.
It's going to be coming out, being a bullpen, and maybe they're trying to condition him for that role, which it hasn't quite worked. But I don't know. I don't know that this is the time to be doing that sort of stuff. I'd rather just see Randy there in the first inning. I know what the splits look like. They're not as good against lefties, righties. That's always. But like also as a reliever versus a starter, I don't know. I think maybe that's not to harp on the one loss that they had this weekend where they only had one hit. I just don't get the approach with Randy. I don't. Again, as somebody who's in the Randy Vasquez camp.
I know you are, but here's the thing, Darren, and I'm looking forward to finding out what happened, because we know Joe Musgrove had his third rehab start in El Paso over the weekend. Velocity was up, I think up to, I forget the pitch count, but it sounds like he could join the Padres rotation like this week. And so, Buehler going today. You have Robbie Ray on Tuesday. Then you have Michael King. And then?
Who King's facing, by the way?
No, TBD?
Robert Stock.
What?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't even know he was in baseball.
Well, you know what? Wow. Good for him. Robert Stock.
Speaking of Padres of yesteryear.
Robert Stock. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what ESPN says.
Okay, well, that's right.
ESPN could be wrong.
Oh, no, okay. But no, just real quick, though. To your point on Randy Vasquez and his role going forward, if Joe does come back this week, and maybe they could do, one more, they could be conservative on his way back. Buehler, Ray, King, Mize, Musgrove. It's just different now for the Padres as they head to the final stretch, Darren, and prepare for September.
Yeah. Again, I think, not a conspiracy here. I just don't know that they really put Randy in the best position to succeed there. But if it makes it easier to work Musgrove back into the rotation, again, it wasn't sabotage, not my point.
Right.
But I suppose you can certainly make a better case today for that. But Musgrove, if you're just looking at box scores, you would say, that's not great in El Paso. What I was told, Marty, was don't worry about the box score. Don't worry about it at all. What we're focusing more on is sort of, this is spring training. I hate to say that for the guys in El Paso who are trying to be competitive, but focus on velocity, which was up, I think, 96, 97, it was reported. Focus on velocity and how he comes out of this and pitch count. Like, nobody in the organization sitting around going, I don't know, though. He gave up 5 runs. Nobody's really focusing on that sort of stuff there. So I wouldn't invest into the result. I would think more along the lines of this is sort of spring training for Joe. Maybe he's working on something, wants to feel who knows what, but that at least was how it was explained to me. Nobody's sweating a bullet about what the results look like in the box score in El Paso.
Okay, so when you're doing your due diligence on Joe Musgrove, and again, I know people are like, have you seen the numbers? No, it's never about that for pitchers. No. For pitchers, especially when you go to El Paso. What did you pick up on Ethan Salas? I know we spent some time last week on this show, also in Friar Territory, talking about whether or not, what do you do with Ethan Salas? Right? You're getting production from your catchers. He is raking in El Paso, which is great news. The more important thing is his health, Darren, after the issues he's had the past couple seasons, the back injury, being shut down. Do you think, just based on your intel, that they are going to call him up soon?
I don't have any intel on this, Marty, but I would say that Luis Campusano probably deserves better than having us all talk about, wow, I'd be really excited to watch Ethan Salas. Luis Campusano has a 925 OPS. This is, he has, and he's been hurt for a stretch of time, but for what it was that he was doing last year at this time, which was, setting records for the El Paso Chihuahuas. Like, he was becoming Crash Davis down there, like they're like, oh, he's our all-time home run leader, Luis Campusano.
Right.
For what he did last year. And again, I've never been like firmly
Comeback player of the year. Because
Yeah.
he came back from Mike Schilt refusing to play him. He
Yeah,
came back from being on the Padres roster last season and just sitting in the clubhouse knowing he had
15.
no role. Like learning, I mean, he would say, like, I don't even know why I'm here. He would say, like, I'd rather be in El Paso right now where I could play every single day and work on my craft. He rotted on the bench. They go to they're in the playoffs versus the Cubs last season, Darren, and they bring Luis Campusano for whatever reason, but they'd rather go with Martin Maldonado, who was halfway to retirement, and Elias Diaz. They just refused to play him, and there were different reasons that you've explained as to why, Bob Melvin didn't want a part of him. Some of the pitchers didn't want a part of him. It was Joe Musgrove that helped get him back in the fold. But man.
Yeah, I almost feel like, here he is. And not only is he here and playing, but he's playing really well.
Yeah.
Like he really is. He's playing really, really well. And, now the conversation's like, yeah, but what about Salas? People are sort of foaming at the mouth to see the Ethan Salas between now and the end of the regular season with 37 to go. And you're like, wait a second, though. I thought we were all waiting to see what this guy could do when he was giving him an opportunity.
Right.
Now he's been given an opportunity and we're like, well, what's next? Where's the next guy? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't, it's nothing against Salas. I'm fine to leave him there for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
I just think that there are more important things to focus on, Marty, which to me, and again, if you really, really feel deep down that Ethan Salas can help get you across the finish line, if you really feel that way, then all right, the people who make these decisions, if they feel that way, then okay, then get up there and say that. But I think just for me, as somebody who's in the opinion business, I'm fine leaving it the way it is.
Yeah.
I think Fermin has figured some stuff out. It's amazing for Freddie Fermin and for Jake Cronenworth what you can do when when you're not concussed.
When you're not concussed, huge deal.
Yeah. His challenges have gotten a lot better. This guy's on a real heater when it comes to challenging pitches. It looks like the staff really is enjoying throwing to him. Casey Mize on Sunday, right? It was Freddie.
Very much. Yep.
And then the manager also feels like there's enough value in Luis Campusano that he puts him in there as the DH, Marty. So you have Freddie Fermin catching and Campusano as the DH. Now, maybe that's an argument for having another catcher on the roster. I suppose maybe you can talk yourself into that if you wanted to. I don't know that that's exactly what Craig Stammen is doing, but yeah, I'm with you. The more and more you think about it too, and you can sort of sense it was happening during spring training 2025 when Mike Schilt was up there trying to talk to you about Martin Maldonado. This guy, boy, oh boy, like he's one of the great catchers of all time. I mean,
Yadier Molina.
Compare him to Yadier Molina. He's like, he's kind of like Yadier Molina if you think about it. And then we thought about it and we're like, no, he's not. But when the manager goes out there publicly and you have a very willing media willing to print those quotes so that we all understand what the message is from the manager. Again, no knock, you have to report what the guy said.
Go ahead. Knock.
But he knew what he was doing. I mean, he knew what he was doing. He was just funneling this stuff through media. So he was trying to make the case publicly to his own front office that he didn't really want Luis Campusano because here he had Yadier Molina light. Right. Not so light. Yadier Molina, the next version. And this guy, we have to get better at some of the stuff that we weren't good at in that first year, our catch. And that's the thing I think, that Luis Campusano has dealt with a little bit, whether it was Bob Melvin or whether it was Mike Schilt. What he's dealt with is managers, who will go to great lengths to build up other catchers when really what they're saying is, I just don't want to play Luis Campusano for one reason or another. Bob Melvin used to do it. He used to be like, man, Austin Nola. Like, Austin Nola is just, and Jorge Alfaro, like he's, the vibes guy, man, let's fucking go
LFG.
San Diego. Like we can't get rid of this, and maybe there was a point at that time because like you said, there were certain pitchers. Hader didn't want to, they used to have to take Campusano out of a game and put another catcher in there when Hader would come out of the bullpen. Do people remember this? Like, this is what you used to have to do when you managed this team. And there were certain starters that were like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to throw to that guy. So it was a real thing in the clubhouse and you couldn't coach these guys out of it. But like the whole lie about like, yeah, Martin Maldonado, man, like that's Yadier Molina. You're like, no, you're just trying to avoid playing Campusano, aren't you? And now Craig Stammen's much more open to it. And I think it's been really great for Campusano to have this kind of success. Again, Marty, like a 925 OPS, me and catchers, I don't care what they hit. But it's hard not to point out like what this guy is hitting. It's hard not to point this out. And it's hard not to recognize that the manager's like, yeah, let me DH him because I want to put his bat into the lineup. So, I just think getting back to Salas, I just keep asking myself why.
Why?
Why?
You don't need
I'm good with this.
No, it's your point from what Peter Seiler said years ago when they were going to go ahead and start Tatis when they brought him up when he was age 19. Like, I can never forgive myself, right? If we miss the playoffs by one game, this isn't the reason. I don't think that's the sense that you get with Sal. That isn't it. This
I don't
team
see
is
it, but
the fortunes of the
on Sunday.
No. Yeah, that's I know that's great,
but
I just like again, you're getting production from your guys. You're getting it from both of them. So you've got a good thing there. Really going
really
good
well.
right now. That isn't the point of concern. But I'm just thinking about this right now. I saw AJ Caswell had a piece on what the Padres are getting from like guys like Ty Francis here. And last year we talked about, wow, this was AJ Preller's best offseason because conservative, financially, but the Nick Pivetta signing, that was huge at that time, but also Gavin Sheets, minor league deal. Could you argue that this is actually better for Preller considering that we were having conversations about Ty France producing in a way that a Padres first baseman has not since Adrian Gonzalez? Like Ty France, man. I mean, we went from platoon at first base to everyday first baseman. You should re-sign him. Been so good.
Listen, I think there's a couple of those, and it's easy to overlook like the Nick Castellanos situation. But you tried it, and we talked, I think, a little bit about this on Fire Territory, or maybe it was here. When did I just give this like 5-minute monologue about Walker Buehler? Was it this show or was it Fire Territory?
I think it was
Buehler.
Fire.
Like, what a exactly the pitcher that the Padres needed this season, even if he becomes an afterthought. But I mean that still. But your point is yes, like Ty France has been great, and maybe Marty, as we talked about the trade deadline and Casey Mize and Robbie Ray and what they do to stabilize the pitching staff. Can we not for a second overlook the contributions of Luis Rengifo?
100%.
I mean, this is another guy now. 4 home runs. He's hit 4 jacks since he's been a Padre. 27 games. Yes, I do have these numbers in front of me. That's why I'm looking away. 323, 411, 473. So, Luis Rengifo, like, I would want him at the plate, Marty. I get the sense he might be an all or nothing guy, and maybe there will be a stretch where it's nothing because he's a guy that swings a lot, so maybe you're going to have a little swing and miss there. It's okay. But, right now, today, like, I would rather have him at the plate over a few other hitters in this Padre Padre team.
I understand.
Yeah. I mean, he's, so again, like you said, France has really worked out. What do they call him? The Big Eiffel?
The Big Eiffel. Such a great t-shirt. The Big Eiffel. These
guys, where do they get their t-shirts, man? These guys have t-shirts. It's amazing. Like one day to the next, I got to figure out who's doing their work.
It's Breaking Tea is one of them, and then RotoWear is the other. Those are the two. But I'm telling you, these guys all the time. The Reaper, the RotoWear, and Breaking Teas. Those are the shirts.
Yeah. I don't know. We got to get some gear around here. Would anybody wear a Marty Time TV shirt around San Diego?
What color would it be?
You tell us.
I know, huh? I know.
You're the designer. What do you normally wear?
Oh, dude,
pretty neutral color human being.
Me? Yeah. Purples, pinks, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you wear? Here's a great question. Would anybody out there wear a pink Marty Time TV
100%
shirt around town?
Look here. A lot of people wear pink. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like
pink.
it.
I like it.
Is that pink or is that watermelon?
That's watermelon. Isn't watermelon red?
I'm colorblind, so you're asking the wrong guy around here. Okay. These guys, though, they have T-shirts. It's incredible production work that they get.
Yeah, they do a great job.
I don't know that I answered. I don't know what I'm talking about, but Rengifo, wow, this guy. Yeah. Losing a pickup at the right time. Like, I hope it lasts. Maybe it doesn't, but I hope it does.
But so far so good. And I'm just thinking, like, right now we went from. They went from. Losing Ramon Laureano was a huge blow, just like it was in the postseason last year with the broken wrist and whatnot. But Samad Taylor gave them a spark when it was needed, and I don't think you were trying to be flippant, Darren, when you said that we're never going to see him again with the oblique. But now with Rengifo and his production. Now, do you want that defense? Maybe that's your argument for keeping Jace Bowen on this roster, right? Because we see what he can do defensively. We saw it yesterday in Cleveland, but yes. So my point is, Preller has made some sneaky good moves when he's had to be financially conservative.
Yeah, I don't think that's an argument, by the way, for sewing the wallet shut.
No.
You know what I mean? Saying like some are like, well, this is great. See what he does when you just give him unlimited funds is we end up with all these shitty contracts. I don't think that's the case that's being made here.
No. You want to sell tickets. You want box office and the era that started. We showed the Blue Padres.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you don't want to be the Rays and just, have a parade of players that go off to play in other places. It looks like Dylan Cease is going to win another Cy Young Award. Now, even if you had the money, I don't know that was I don't know that was something I would have advocated for, to give this guy $200+ million here. Like I just,
no,
I didn't see any, I just never even crossed my mind.
Yeah.
Not just because the Padres couldn't do that sort of stuff. I just thought the Padres, like, even if they had the resources to do it, I was like, nah, it's okay. I'm good to move on. But, I think some would say, hey, listen, maybe Preller's at his very best when he does have to act within a budget. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I think a lot of people, Marty, will judge this. If the season ended today, they'd say, wow, the Padres go to the playoffs and they did enough that, getting guys like Casey Mize and Robbie Ray has probably put them in a position to go to the playoffs. And, if they don't, then, who knows how the analysis will look, will it be measured just on getting there? Again, we keep trying to define what success is. Do they have to win a series? Do they have to play a home game? They didn't play a home game last year. Everybody understands that the whole business side of things.
Get out of the first round.
Home games. They need the home gates. Like everybody wants that, especially when you got a new owner. You're like, oh, this guy wants to be seen, right? He doesn't want to just disappear in some, luxury box in Chicago or whatever. So, I still think it's, it's obviously you can't write the final chapter, but I think going to the playoffs for 3 consecutive years for the Padres is, probably pretty good for me. Again, not to say you don't have bigger goals. Of course you do. Everybody's got bigger goals. As somebody who works for a team, yes, like we have bigger goals than just beating Los Angeles on a Saturday night. Like we want to win against Portland and we want to win against Colorado and like we want to go to the playoffs. Oh, that's your goal? You just want to go to the play? No, of course not. We want to win games in the playoffs. Like everybody wants to win games, but you got to get there. So you have different goals. You have different stages of what goals you have. Like, I don't think it's that hard. People get so weird about that and twisted about some of the goals. Like, yeah, you want to go to the playoffs. Go to the playoffs 3 consecutive years. Good. For almost everybody not named the Dodgers. And by the way,
I know. Go ahead.
I've read some of this stuff about the Dodgers. I thought there was a very hyperbolic tweet from the very hyperbolic Darren Ravel the other day. I don't know if you saw this or not, but I read it and sort of shook my head. Darren Ravel is one of these business reporter types. We used to have him on the show, and then he
all the time when he was with NBC, right?
Yeah, I think that was right. He was with one of those news companies. Then he got hired by ESPN. He's just sort of this like troll. He's kind of I don't know, just a little. But he tweeted out last week. This was the 13th. So what day is today? 17, 17, 16, 15, 14. So this is Thursday. I talked to many in the finance world today about entanglements involving Guggenheim companies. At best, it's about a couple of sports teams being sold. At worst, this could take down the entire economy, just like subprime loans did. Wait, what? Wait a second now. Here I thought selling the Lakers was just sort of this kind of weird thing. This guy, maybe he's backed into a corner and there's an investigation. I didn't realize that the entire global economy could melt down because the Dodgers are paying Shohei Ohtani for 50 years. But apparently, Marty, and then I read something today about how all this money's being funneled from one company to the other. And maybe these guys purchased the Dodgers using insurance money. Oh, man. Wow. There's a lot of stuff. By the way, it's also connected to Chelsea Football Club because Mark Walter is a minority owner, and so is Todd Bowley, and so is Jose E. Feliciano.
Oh.
So there is a tie in the Chelsea Football Club in the English Premier League, which, again, I'm not indicting anybody or saying this is all crooked. It's just, a lot of really, really smart people with a lot of money who have a lot of these different types of businesses just know how to kind of pass money through a lot of different places. And, it's crazy to think that any of us are qualified to actually track down this money, but it doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound great. I posted a story over on your favorite app, Blue Sky, earlier today. And this is one of the lines from the story. Again, I had to read it 4 times. I still don't think I understand it. But a couple years ago, Mark Walter and Todd Bowley were involved in some sort of investigation. And, they were accused of using investments to route money to the Dodgers. And you're like, oh. I don't even know that MLB is qualified to investigate this stuff, right? Like, Rob Manfred, I guess he doesn't know what he's doing. So I don't know who's going to look into this, but you read a lot of it, and you're like, oh man, this sounds bad. This doesn't sound good. This doesn't sound like a guy who just flipped the Dodgers for a couple $1 billion, or the Lakers, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
But again, hyperbolic Darren Ravel, who's a quirky dude. It's like, yeah, I don't know. At worst, this could be subprime all over again. You're like, oh fuck, where are we going?
Do we think this is getting investigated? Really?
Marty, I don't know. I think there's a lot of smoke right now in a lot of different places. If it's coming like from places like England and NBA and MLB, and it there's like that's like the windshield crack now. All of a sudden, you're starting to spiderweb a little bit. I'm curious to see where this goes again, and some of this is really tough. Like unless you have a CPA, I don't.
Yeah, that's this show.
It's hard to understand it. Like, again, there's a story. Where is it? It's Chelsea co-owner Mark Walter. Have I said Mark Walter? Did I call him something different? Anyway, Mark Walter's financial empire is disintegrating at dramatic speed. What could be the consequences for his friend Todd Bowley at Chelsea Football Club? Like, oh, well, I know somebody else who's involved there. And again, I don't. I just think all these people, all this money, all this private equity, everything like all this money is just moving from like these different places, and you're like, how many different things does this guy own? Oh, okay. Well, like, and he just like moved money and shuffled money, and maybe I don't know that Peter was or wasn't doing that. He took out a loan from a company called Ares, ARES, for like $100 million or something, and I was like, I don't understand this. I don't know if this is good or bad. I don't know. These smart people, they're really, really smart, and their backgrounds, Marty, aren't just in like, like I put on a floppy hat and like go run around a AA baseball field, like
right.
These are people that operate on a totally different level than the majority of us. But anyway, I know we got to wrap up because
we do have to wrap up. But before we wrap up, and again, I'm looking forward to whenever this presser is going to be with Jose Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones. Maybe later this week, this homestand when the Padres return home from this this road trip, Darren. But just any final words? I'm sorry, we didn't have more time today on SDFC's upset at LA. Always good when a team from San Diego beats LA.
Yeah, and LA I think appreciates it too. LAFC,
and the fans showed up, right? You can hear the San Diegans,
600
right?
up there. Yeah, we filled up our away section, 600, and they were great. I love the venue. I love everything about that place. I do. I think it's really one of the great venues in Major League Soccer. I will say this: LAFC in its history, and they have a really short history but good history. They came into the league in 2018. Was at their very first game actually, and there are only two teams in Major League Soccer that they have never beaten: the Chicago Fire, who have been around since day one, and San Diego Football Club.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
I like it.
So 3 wins and 1 draw, and just an incredible win. Unfortunately, SDFC is going to have to play without Anders Dreyer, who picked up 2 yellow cards, so he's going to be suspended. But Marty, I will tell you, for anybody watching who's a fan of San Diego Football Club, who understands the roster and how limited it has been at times for a second-year team, to see a team start the game with the starting 11 that it did, and have your captain, Yeppe Deverskov, come off the bench, Chris McVeigh come off the bench, your new designated player who debuted, Elias Ashuri, come off the bench, to see Amal Pellegrino, who's been an impactful player, come off the bench. I'm missing somebody there. Forgive me. I think, somebody in the midfield. Oni Valakari, who's started every game this year. To see those 5 players come off the bench, you're like, that bench is better than some of the lineups that we've had. It shows you the depth. They're healthy. I thought the new guys played well. Ian Murphy started as center half. Gabriel Pirani started in midfield. I thought he did some good things. Still learning his new teammates. Missed a couple passes, but advanced the ball pretty well. Pretty progressive player. And just a great win. And it was great to see San Diego Football Club. The bugaboo all season long has been drop points in injury time, drop points late in games. That's kind of the story here. And to see them pick up 3 points in a difficult place to play, scoring in the 89th minute on an obvious penalty, handball, and then protecting that lead and not feeling heartbroken again at the end of one of these games after 6 minutes of injury time. Is it a turning point, to quote the great Marty Caswell?
I love those.
I don't know, but I feel like they felt very, very good about that performance. The margins were super thin. The game was on a razor's edge the entire time. And to come out ahead against a good opponent, you're going to have to beat good teams down the road. There's no doubt about it for this team. There's only 15 more of them to go, and 8 of them are on the road, so you're going to have to figure out a way to win. They went on the road for the first time, Marty, since March. since their first road game.
Is that right?
Season.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So I thought it was a huge moment. Other people can say they don't believe in momentum, but they believe in it, and we'll see what happens Wednesday night at Portland at 7:30, and then back home against Colorado. Two other teams, as I mentioned. 6 minutes of stoppage time, Portland got us here, and then it was the 5th minute of stoppage time in Colorado. So a little bit of a revenge theme this week. I guess we'll see, but yes, they had a great game. I thought they played really, really well. And, they executed their game plan, and, they're going to get better. That's the one thing I can say. Write them off at your own peril. They're going to get better. I promise you.
I believe in momentum when it comes for the regular season. I don't believe in momentum translating to the next season. Speaking of revenge, it's kind of how we started today's show. Listen, can't get past the Andres Verdes revenge tour. It's Andy Green, AJ Preller's first.
He's going to be managing today.
Passion dripping from their lips. Give the pregame speech. I'm sure a nice hug with Craig Stammen. But yes, this is how it all began, everybody.
Yeah. That's an important part of this team.
Yes, AJ Preller's first real hire. Of course, he inherited Bud Black, and it's rather amazing that Bud Black is on his staff right now, right? A special assistant. I love seeing Buddy Black around Petco Park. It's also kind of strange because he fired him. But yeah, this is how this era all began. Again. Yes, you can. That dude right there who managed players who are still the original Blue Padres who are still on the team, Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis, and now the manager, Craig Stammen. So, wow, what a moment. What a moment. All right, D. Smith. Good chat, good conversation. I know you have things to get to. I have things to get to. I might renew my HBO subscription. I may not, but a big one. Let's Bueller, and Robert Stock. Wow.
Well, that's Wednesday. Now, again, maybe ESPN is wrong. I mean, they get a lot of things wrong these days.
I need to get back into my time machine, and I'll get back with you. All right, D. Smith. Have a great day.
Game of Thrones guy, right?
Robert Stock? I don't remember. He had something. I have to look it up. All right, D. Smith. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for watching. Again, you can subscribe to the Section 1904 podcast, which I highly recommend. Darren is usually sometimes great about putting out the podcast.
Sometimes great. Yeah, I got Fridays out there on Saturday. Okay. And better late than never, I suppose. Yeah, it's available on Apple and Spotify and other places as well. Or you can subscribe on Substack, which is the best way. And we just email it to you, and that way you don't have to worry about it.
Yes, and please don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe to Marty Time TV. All these fun changes are always coming here on the YouTube platform, so we'll see where that goes. I think, but we'll be in good shape. And don't forget also to subscribe to Friar Territory. Darren and I will have a show coming up. We'll break down and second guess everything that happened in the Mets game. That's what we do. We break it all down. All right, guys.
By the way, speaking of Hamul Casino, I was out there on Friday afternoon, Marty. I know you're up here, but man, that place is buzzing. Like the people getting out there on Friday at 4:00. It's like,
let's go have lunch. Let's go to the.
It's like it looks like Field of Dreams at the end, like where there's all these cars,
Yeah.
And like there's just so many people can't wait to get their weekend going, and that pool is just ridiculous. So yes, we will get out there.
Let's go. Get some lunch. Okay.
I like it. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub.
I love it. All right, guys. Thanks so much. That's D. Smith. I'm Marty Caswell, brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Wish we can get the analytics out the way. I think there's too many stats out there. Too many stats. Way too many numbers. I don't even know half of the stuff that goes up there. I look at the board sometimes, and I'm like, man, I even ask some of the guys, like, what is WCCVBB, whatever it is, like what are these names that are being created? I mean, it's just crazy to even keep up with. Crazy, dude. I mean, the pitching stuff, like FIP or something like that, I think, right?
Field independent pitching.
Like what is that?
That's taking out the defense to say this guy.
All right, so why would you have that stat? Isn't
show
baseball
how much of a stud a guy really is?
Yeah, but it takes a team to win a ball game and not just one person.